Hey there. Welcome to the Pine Island Experience podcast. I'm Joanna Anderson with my husband, Trygve. Each of our episodes will be conversations with fellow Pine Islanders.
The goal of our podcast is to share with you our experiences, what we have found to be fun, and what makes the Pine Island Experience so unique.
It's so cute. They're just trying to, like Bri said, we have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn here. But the 4-year-old and the 2-year-old, like, absolutely, they love both businesses already. I could just only imagine them growing up and, being a part of, what we're building here. And they're just like so fun about it. Even my daughter came in the other day and was just like kind of, she put on my shoes, put on my hat, walked up with a fake phone and was like, "Hi, this is Taylor with Nautical Tiki." And she was just giving me a hard time. And I was just like, oh, it's so cute.
As the new owners of Matlacha Tiny Village and Nautical Tiki Cruises, Bri and Taylor Johnson are building more than two businesses. They're building a future for their young family right here in Matlacha. Join us as they share what inspired them to invest in this community, their vision for these two unique businesses, and why they believe Pine Island is such a special place to call home. And now, here are Bri and Taylor. Well, welcome to another episode of the Pine Island Experience podcast. Today, we're introducing you to some neighbors you may not have met yet. Bri and Taylor from the new owners of the Matlacha Tiny Village and Nautical Tiki, another company, both operating out of Matlacha on Pine Island, which is fabulous. Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. We're excited to be here.
What we usually do, if you've listened to any of the podcasts, we have people talk about themselves from when they were little until they eventually came here. So if you could both fill us in, I'll start with you, Bri, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can even just start from Taylor and I's story and how we came to the island. And, I grew up in a very small town in Pennsylvania. I always was somebody with big ambitions and a joy and passion for life. Taylor and I ended up meeting in college. And after college, we moved down here. His parents had a place in Fort Myers. So him and I brought our relationship right after college down here. I ended up working as a beverage cart girl at the Edison at Fort Myers Country Club. And he was a delivery driver. And we had made it a goal. We fell in love with the area. We fell in love with Southwest Florida. His parents had a place here. And we just came to a point where we were like, if this is going to be our life, we want to have it be here. At the time, we were just out of college. So it was kind of like a bit too ambitious. Like, let's go back to our home roots. Let's get, do the thing, check the boxes of getting into the corporate world, working in corporate, getting jobs, getting married, engaged, married, and then starting a family. We ended up doing that. We ended up moving back to Pennsylvania and kind of checking those boxes. We got engaged. We ended up getting married actually at Tarpon Lodge here in Bokeelia. That was where our wedding was. We had our first baby. She's now 4. And I was pregnant with my second. And we just kept saying, like, look, when is life going to bring us to Fort Myers? So we started looking at houses. I was 35 weeks pregnant with my second. There was a house we fell in love with in Fort Myers. And they called us and were like, look, like, the owner's interested in dropping the price, or do you want to move here? I was like, I'm 35 weeks pregnant, but okay, let's do it. We've always loved the area. So we took a massive leap of faith in May of 2024. Our son, who's now 2, was only 6 weeks old. And we took a one-way flight. We packed up our life in Pennsylvania and we moved here. Just 9 months later, we were actually coming out to visit his family on Pine Island. They live in St. James City, his parents, and it was for Christmas. And I saw the for sale sign at Matlacha Tiny Village. And I was like, those tiny houses are for sale. Like, let's do it. He's like, are you out of your mind? Like, we just moved here. He had a full-time job. I had transitioned from my role in corporate human resources to be a stay-at-home mom. But I've always been overly ambitious entrepreneurial person. And I'm like, let's do it. If we can, if it's going to work its way out. Like, I'm always somebody that is in the pray, trust, wait. if it's meant to be, it will be. And we ended up getting the tiny village. We purchased the tiny village last March of 2025. And then now we just recently acquired and purchased Nautical Tiki Cruises, which is now going to be running out of our tiny village. So it's just been quite a journey, and I'm just living and loving life and building the life that we've always dreamed about building, and doing it with Taylor. So since I was a little girl.
So my kind of Southwest Florida journey started a little bit before Bri, before I met her, but I had been coming here since I was a teenager, and I loved it, and it's such a special area. And my parents decided that they were gonna, build their life out in St. James City and build a house out here, and they've been living here for the last 15 years. Like Bri was saying, we moved down here when we were, fresh out of college and lived here for 6 months. And then, I kicked myself for so many times and so many years of like, why did we move back to Pennsylvania? Why did we make it like a 6-month goal? What are we doing? And so we ended up living back in Pennsylvania for another 14 or 15 years. And then finally got to the decision and we'd come down and visit my parents every year, and it would just get harder and harder and harder with life and just things getting in the way, kids, jobs, responsibilities, just lots and lots of different things. So we were like, all right, we got to figure this out. We'd go home, like every time we'd be crying on the way back up to Pennsylvania. I'm like, this is miserable.
Literally.
What are we doing? And we just absolutely love it. Out in the island, St. James City is like such a special place in my heart. And, Pine Island and Matlacha, it's just like such a different kind of vibe. And, it's hard to explain to people from time to time, because it's just like, we live in Fort Myers, and when I come out to the island, it's just like, it relaxes me, gets me in such a different mood, because it's like, it's a small little fun island, and it's just a completely different vibe than, Fort Myers or Cape Coral or anywhere else. So yeah, like Bri was saying, we got the opportunity to, own a little piece in Matlacha, and, the property was a great property. It had, it somehow survived Hurricane Ian. Everybody knows the destruction that Hurricane Ian had, and somehow it survived. But, when we acquired the property, we knew that there was like a lot of, some, things that we wanted to do to, boost it up and make it, an incredible property of Matlacha again. And so we put a lot of work in it, a lot of love, and got it to a really great spot. And, part of the acquisition process with the property is we noticed that it had, an incredible amount of, additional opportunities to bring some, more life and more people to this island and excursions. And we knew that we wanted to have some sort of excursion running out of that property, because it has a huge dock out back. Bri comes across another business, and it's Nautical Tiki. She comes across this business, and she's like, hey, you should check this out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, we have 2 kids. You're about to have a 3rd kid. Like, are you serious? Like, how are we going to possibly add anything else? And she's like, I really think you're going to like this one. And I was like, oh man, as soon as I saw it, I was like, man, this could literally be perfect for Matlacha. Yeah, we met with the previous owner, and it was a hard one to pass up. It was a great opportunity, a great deal on the business. We kind of initially first started in Fort Myers Beach, and then just recently brought one of our boats to Matlacha, and now we're running out of the Yucatan beach stand, or the Yucatan waterfront.
Yeah, which is perfect. It's right there by the tiny village.
Yeah, and I think even going back to, our wedding. So the theme of our wedding was seek the adventure, build the memory, capture the moment. I've always anchored on, being adventurous, taking leaps, doing things that you don't think that you would ordinarily do, building those memories with the people that you love the most, and capturing the moment. It's a moment in time that you're never going to get back. So whether that's a picture, whether that's a video, whether that's a conversation, and keeping that in your brain as something that's positive and fulfilling. And as soon as I saw the tiny village, I'm like, this is the start. This is our own adventure, but this is someone else's life adventure to come down here and experience this place and build those memories with the people that they love the most. And then capturing those moments along the way. The island is the perfect place. It's picturesque. It's incredible. And then when I saw, the Nautical Tiki cruises opportunity, I'm like, you know what? This is just adding into this. This is adding another opportunity for people to seek that adventure and build those memories and capture those moments, and not just doing it from land, but now on water, and bringing the entire thing to life has been so remarkable and such a dream of ours. And while doing that in parallel of seeking our own adventures, building our own memories and capturing our own moments. I mean, I'm sitting here with a 6-week-old baby, right?
Right.
Everything seems to happen when my babies are newborns.
But it all came together.
No more babies.
Yeah, no worries. No, but it all came together for you. We were talking about it before you came and said, I imagine when they stay in the tiny village, they'll be out on the Nautical Tiki too. I mean, it's just going to bundle together.
Yes. And that's our goal. We have guests that bring their own boats and bring their own ways by getting out on the water. But we also want to provide that opportunity to those folks that definitely, that don't have means of transportation on the water, and get out there and see the wildlife and experience the incredible sunsets that this island has. It's world renowned. It's something that I'm looking at your picture right behind you, and it's just stunning.
Yeah, Trig did that.
That's awesome.
Well, you've answered all my questions without even me asking questions. That was perfect.
Well, that's good.
So talk a little bit about any changes or renovations that you've done since you acquired Tiny Village, or, how are you changing that to, fit your vision and appeal to people?
Yeah, absolutely. Taylor, do you want to take that
so, some of the first things that we did is the land and the property there, after the hurricanes, there was a lot of runoff and wash off. So I think the very first thing that we did was, we had it relayed with new rock and had all the weeds pulled, and put in some new shrubbery to make it look, more kind of curb appeal. And then I think right after, we put together a vision and a plan of exactly what we were going to do. And I think the next biggest project that we had on our plate was to paint them, make them nice, fun, Matlacha, vibrant colors. Actually was probably my most fun thing that we've done with the property, because it was just a fun experience to pick out the paints and, go to the store. And so we got them painted. The next steps were to get the dock kind of refreshed and painted. We got a whole bunch of new furniture to put out back. We put some, new picnic tables and chairs and kind of matched everything all together, threw in some other kind of fun color and vibes. We hired a local artist who's incredible, she came out and painted all 3 of our doors. So the one closest to the street is the Flamingo tiny home. She painted an incredibly beautiful flamingo on the front door. The next one in is dolphin. It's got this awesome, fun dolphin on the front door. And then the last one in is iguana, and she's painted this incredible iguana on it. And it's just it's just a fun kind of, a nice little addition. And then we got the insides, refreshed and painted, some more nice new decor. Just to, we got a ton of compliments about it. And I think it's just, it's nice. And every time anybody walks in a tiny home, there's not that many people that, stay in tiny homes. And it's kind of like a unique experience. And we got so many people just walk in and they're just blown away from the first steps of just walking in, because, it actually looks and feels significantly larger than you would think when you're walking into a tiny home. So it's a much more kind of different experience than what you're getting in a typical hotel. And we still have, some bigger plans for the property itself. We're going to add some, nice kind of amenities for our guest. We have some kayaks out there for our guests as well. Bri, am I missing anything
No, I think that one of definitely the most fun part was when we did when we did the color picking. That was so fun. We had our kids with us, and we went to Sherwin-Williams and we got all the paint swatches, and we were just, looking, and there's millions of colors of paint. It was unbelievable, how in depth that process went, but we love how it came out. It's so cool and so vibrant and fits the Matlacha vibe. And then we actually did a poll for the names, the naming of the tiny homes. So we always knew that we were going to keep Flamingo. That was a legacy name of the tiny home from the previous owners and everything like that. And same with Dolphin. And then the last one was previously named Margarita. And there were 2 other mobile homes that were on. It was a duplex. It was a mobile home pre-Ian that had gotten washed away. And the names were Mermaid and Alligator. And we were like, okay, well, we don't necessarily, we wanted the theme of the island and theme of the tiny homes, the names of the tiny homes to remain animals. And we're like, well, Margaritas doesn't really fit that. So let's change it to Alligator. So we changed it to Alligator. And then one day we were out on the property and there was this massive resident green iguana. And he was sitting right on the edge. So we went to Instagram and we took a picture of the iguana and said, we asked our followers, we asked, the community, like, what do you think? Should we keep it Green Alligator or should we name it, rename it Green Iguana? And without a shadow of a doubt, it became the Green Iguana. And that resident iguana is like it's like a fan favorite. It's like the guest favorite. It's like he will sit there, he will come out, he will sit right there on the dock. And it's the same one that we're knowledgeable of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really cool. And that was like a part of that transformation process was even like renaming them and not only just bringing it back to life in that way, but getting the community involved was really fun too.
Yeah, one of the big things that's like super important to us too is, anybody that's actually physically worked on our property or works with us is somebody that's either lives on the island or or their business is on the island. And that's super important to us because we want to continue to support and drive, as much business to our local community as possible.
Yeah.
So you wanted to take advantage of the canal. The guests can take advantage of the canal. Did you have other ideas? I mean, obviously you've added the kayaks. People can dock their own vessels there. Was it just the business search where you came across like the boat chartering service? Was that in the plan or is that just kind of a happy coincidence?
It was always a part of our vision. It was always a part of, we have a iPhone note that we share with our overall vision and plans of how we wanted to bring the island, bring the property, bring people to life. So there was always a thought that we would be able to create some type of boating excursion. And it just so happened to be, I was looking one day and, last fall and he's like, why are you looking for other business ventures? Like, what are you doing? And he kind of alluded to that a little bit ago, but I just, I said, I think you're going to like it. And I literally turned my laptop around. I was sitting behind him on the couch and I turned my laptop around and I was like, what do you think of that? And he's like, oh my goodness. Like there's a running joke in our family. Like, don't tell Bri. And it's always, my family's extremely supportive of my visions and my ambitions. And I can usually pretty much tell a story that makes people captivated to what we're looking to do. And that was just a part of it.
So what can people expect from a Tiki tour?
Yeah, go ahead, Taylor. You can take
So
that one.
our Tiki tours are 90 minutes. There's actually 6 bar stool seats on it with a big Tiki top on it. It's a really fun kind of different kind of vibe. We have a captain that will take your crew out. We have a Bluetooth speaker on board, so our captains can play, fun island vibes, whatever you'd like. Or you could take over the Bluetooth and, dance, party, whatever you'd like to do, or keep it low key and, go on a cruise, drive around through kind of Matlacha Pass, go underneath the bridge there, spot, my first cruise in Matlacha as I was kind of blazing the trail. I saw more dolphin here than I have seen in Fort Myers Beach, which was pretty incredible. So that's, you obviously can't promise seeing dolphin, it's wildlife. So you never know what you're going to get, but there's definitely a lot of wildlife out there. So there's a good opportunity for that. Right now, as we start, we have 90-minute cruises. We'll probably we will get into 3-hour cruises and, hopefully take guests to little islands that are around the area and, pull up to the island and whether you have a little picnic there or if you want to just hang out in the water, we could do those types of things. The boat is BYOB, so you can bring your own beverages on board. Obviously, we do depart from the Yucatan, and it's a great opportunity to grab some food there and bring it on board. So if you want to bring some food and snacks, the cruises are completely customizable. So anything that, you want to do, just let the captain or us know ahead of time and we'll make it happen.
Now, in addition to visitors, are you getting locals booking the cruises as well?
Yeah. So we actually just 3 days ago, finally got our website activated to book through for Matlacha specifically. So yes, we have been getting some good traction with visitors. Well, visitors, of course, but locals as well, which is awesome. Locals is, probably our most important piece of this business. And, we want to take out as many people, especially, I know a lot of people on this island have boats and go out on their own boats. But, if you want to kick back and not have to, worry about being the captain for that day, come on out. We'd love to take you out. It's great, bring some friends and family and we'll show you a great time and you can relax and you don't have to be the captain for the day.
Yeah. Especially if you have visitors, that's something great to do with them.
Right.
Because you can accommodate a bunch of people, rather than we just have a small fishing boat. It's better to be in something a little bit bigger where you don't have to worry about it. Someone else can, like you said, drive them around, take them around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And same thing, it kind of even ties into with the tiny village too. Like we made a joking, like a half joking post around Thanksgiving. Like, people always want their family close and they bring their family into town. We're like, you don't necessarily want them too close. So have them stay at the tiny village. I mean, it's, there are a lot of locals here that have family come to visit them. And for us, it was all about not only just giving the experience to the locals, but the experience to the visitors that are visiting the locals here on the island. So staying at the tiny village, taking a Tiki cruise out, it's something to do and it's something fun and unique to experience the beautiful place that we live.
Has anybody shared some rather creative celebrations with you? I mean, you can imagine maybe like somebody might take it out because somebody's in town or maybe because of an engagement or some special life event but have they come to you with, and you're saying you're celebrating what?
I mean, I don't think so.
Or
We did
fairly
have an engagement at the tiny village. They were celebrating. They had just recently got engaged. Cool. So we had, I believe it was the bride's mom or a friend or somebody come in and decorate the tiny home prior to their arrival. So they asked for an early check-in and, they decorated it, which was super cute. And same thing with the Tiki boats. I mean, if someone calls and says, we, whether that is, a celebration of life, we kind of talked a little bit about that, or bachelorettes, bachelor parties, things like that. Nothing too unique, but
kind of a bunch of 21st birthday parties, anniversaries, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Our
corporate outings, that's been really fun too.
Outings.
We had a group, a team. I think it was one of the Wawa locations. They were, it was a leader on the team. She was the manager and she wanted to take her crew out. So they did that as like a team bonding event, which was
great idea.
Which is cool. It's different, right? It's not a standard, let's get together and have a happy hour. Like, have a happy hour on the boat.
We've all worked in corporate and, I think that, team bonding and building experiences, I think this is like a really great one. So we're going to try and push that, as much as we can as well.
Yeah.
But you love the area by default with the family connections. What have you learned about the people in the island since you've now been operating businesses here?
They're so relaxed and enjoy life. And people are just straight up happy, which is awesome. It's just like, it's different. Everybody's super nice and welcoming and, want to support other local businesses. And, all those things are super important and, really great. You never know what you're kind of getting into from time to time. But like, honestly, I don't think I've ran into anybody that hasn't wanted to at least, have a conversation, about, what we do or what we're bringing to the area or anything like that. Everybody's just super welcoming. So that's, always amazing.
And I think too, the resiliency of the island and the resiliency of the people, especially overcoming the hurricanes. It really is a community and it's a family and everybody is willing to jump in and pitch in and they've welcomed us with open arms. They've been willing to help us, kind of figure out the ropes of what we can and cannot do. I mean, we are in the historic district of Matlacha, so there are some things that we, there are hurdles that we have to cross, but everybody's kind of in it together. We've partnered and are with the Greater Pine Island Chamber of Commerce. We are members of the Matlacha Civic Association. Like, it's just important for us to just continue to be a part of it. And like the islanders, whether they're locals, whether they're somebody they're snowbirds, whether they're folks that bring their families in, it's just for us, it's just really neat to be a part of something that's so great, and also be welcomed with open arms and know that, we've felt the love, like we felt the Matlacha Island time vibes from the very beginning.
Okay, now if people are interested either in the villages, the tours, or preferably both, how best do they get a hold of you, book the reservations, or how's that part work?
Yeah, actually, if you are interested in the tiny village, you could book directly on our website, matlachatinyvillage.com. And as you're, going through your booking, there's a spot on there that says, if you want to add a tiki cruise, you can actually add it directly on the website there, which is awesome. We've had a handful of guests do that, take advantage of it. I would highly recommend it, especially if you're coming to the area for the first time and you don't know everything to do. It's just nice to have something, that's easily accessible. And just jump right on a cruise. You're in right there, and you're back right at the dock. So it's definitely a fun experience, and it's just a great opportunity to get out on the water. We could take guests over to restaurants and stuff like that as well. So it's just a great opportunity. On the flip side, our Nautical Tiki website is nauticaltiki.com. And on there, you can actually navigate through and check out all the different kind of offerings that we have. Right now, for Matlacha, we've set up a brunch cruise. I think it's a 1 p.m., a 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and then a sunset cruise. But we're flexible. So if there's, a time doesn't work with you or whatever it might be, just let us know. But the best spot to book just strictly for Nautical Tiki is nauticaltiki.com.
Despite the island culture, this is a very water-based culture, I guess, which makes sense with the island, but it's just such a different perspective, even for a local, but particularly for a visitor to come out and see things from that other view.
Yes, absolutely. And I think even too with the tiny homes, that we actually get a lot of questions about fishing. And while we can't have fishing equipment on the tiki boats, we do encourage fishing from the tiny village, from the dock. And we've had quite a few folks, whether they bring their own boat and they go out fishing, or they stay at the tiny homes and just fish right off the dock. But yeah, it's the fishing capital. Matlacha is one of the fishing capitals of the world.
Well, that bridge is the most fishing.
Yes,
bridge.
Yep.
And you guys taking people under the bridge. Not everyone has under the drawbridge with the tiki is amazing. Are you gonna?
Oh yeah. We go right under, and
yeah,
just
that's
perfectly
right
fits.
It just fits.
Just perfectly fits. We went at like the highest tide, and thankfully we were able to get through.
Good. It's scary if you forget. Oh wait, we're too tall.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But is there anything that you wanted to bring up today that we missed?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's just been such an awesome experience, and we thank you guys for hosting us and having us. And if there's any questions from anybody, feel free to check out our websites or even give us a call, and we're happy to help. We are the people that are behind the phone. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're answering?" Yes,
you're the owners.
Yes, we are the owners, and we're the operators, and we are the two people that you would be speaking to, either Taylor or Bri.
You'll probably catch a child in the background from time to time yelling, but yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah. They're actually, it's so cute. They're just trying to, like Bri said, we have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn here. But the 4-year-old and the 2-year-old, like, absolutely, they love both businesses already. I could just only imagine them growing up and, being a part of, what we're building here. And they're just like so fun about it. Even my daughter came in the other day and was just like kind of, she put on my shoes, put on my hat, walked up with a fake phone and was like, hi, this is Taylor with Nautical Tiki. And she was just giving me a hard time. And I was just like, oh, it's so cute.
It's great.
But yeah, we love it. And, I want to thank you both so much, for having us out here. It's just great to connect with, like a small local fun business that you guys have set up. So we're, greatly appreciative. Thank you so much for having us
We're
today.
so happy you came. Thank you. And I have to say, every time I drive into Matlacha and I see the little village there, and I'm like, I smile. Because it's just adorable.
Yeah.
And, coming from St. James into Matlacha, it's just adorable just seeing it.
We hear that a lot. Honestly, I will never get tired of it. I love hearing that. And, we're always open to, suggestions. And, if people have any other ideas, we love ideas. And we just want to continue making and helping out the community and making Matlacha a very special piece. One of the things I think I miss is actually we've connected with a handful of like influencers. And I think it is very helpful because it brings more people to the island. So they come to our property, we pay them to come out and whatever. And, then they share it on their social media. And then people are like, where's that island? That looks so fun. It's awesome. And then, it's just helping drive, we want to revive, the community's been revived. And it looks incredible after these hurricanes, but continue to drive. Like, this is a very special place, and let's get people here.
Right. That's wonderful you're doing that. Well, thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has been fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're a professional, Bri, so. And Bri is going to have more ideas, just so you know.
Oh, I know.
Because you were asking for more ideas. Bri already has them for you, I can tell. But thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our Pine Island Experience podcast. If you have any ideas for us, people to interview, or any comments, please feel free to email them to us at pineislandexperience@gmail.com. That's pineislandexperience, all one word, @gmail.com. Don't forget to like us, and you may subscribe to this podcast using all the major catchers like Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Thanks again for listening, and remember, island life is a constant vacation. We'll see you on the next podcast.